only by way of welcoming to say how proud I am to have played a very distal role in what we're going to hear about today. So ProSocial World has the lofty goal of consciously evolving a world that works for all, and that begins at the scale of small groups. And the ProSocial Action Lab, that's what the ProSocial Action Lab is for. And so we're going to hear from some of the small groups that have been become engaged through this method, and nobody's more excited about that than I am.
Thank you. Thank you, David. And actually, Jeff, who will also be speaking as our director, do you want to say, we rarely get you here on Fridays. Do you want to say a few words of welcome before we launch in?
Well, yes, thank you. And a deep welcome to all the participants and the groups in particular. The ProSocial Action Lab is ProSocial World's flagship offering. It brings everything together in a practical framework where groups like yours and groups like ours can actually apply it. So thank you for participating and for sharing your collective wisdom on how you're embodying the ProSocial framework. The way each group does is different, and there's value in sharing how you're applying it versus we're applying it, so that we can all apply it better together. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. And I too am going to welcome you. My name is Susan Soleil. My feet touch the ground in Salt Lake City, Utah, a western state in the Rocky Mountains. And I've had such a rich experience being part of ProSocial Action Lab this last year in 2024. We did a 13-week stint in the first part of the year that ran the end of January through April, and then we did another round two that started in August and ended at the end of October. And I sometimes joke that I should be paying ProSocial Action Lab or the ProSocial Action World to be part of this, because it is so meaningful and so enriching, and it makes my world very large to be part of these global events. So thank you very much for letting me play with all of you. So the ProSocial Action Lab is the flagship offering. It's the culmination of all of the workshops that we offer and the courses. And at the end, for groups that are ready, they sign up for the ProSocial Action Lab. And it is a way for them to deepen their connection to each other, fine-tune their collaboration skills, and really come out with an action plan to move forward in a meaningful way. And so that journey, we have 5 groups that took that journey with us, and we want to give them time to tell their story. We'll go through the 5 groups. They'll talk about their mission, what happened when they were in the Action Lab, their significant moments of change, and kind of their dreams for the future. And from there, we will then open it up for question and answer. So we had a very fabulous group from Monterrey, Mexico. And Andrea, would you and Raphael, however you're going to divide your time, the time is yours now. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Susan, and thank you, everyone. I want to introduce Raphael and Abril. We were, the 3 of us were part of the project. So before I start, I just want to give them a chance to say hi.
Hello, hello.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you, Abril. Actually, since Abril is here, I just want to start, I guess, introducing first the name of our project. It was called Inspire, Compassion in Action. And this was a project that Abril and I took a very important role in making it happen. It is basically an educational intervention and a research project that combined 2 very interesting fields. At first, I didn't see it with such clarity, but now I do. So we combine compassion and collaboration. So what we did is we had this educational intervention that involved college students. So Rafael was one of those students that was part of the project. And this took place in Monterrey, Mexico. Part of a few of the organizations that were involved were Tecnológico de Monterrey, which is a major university here in Mexico. Then Abril's not-for-profit organization. She's been working with low-income community at south of Monterrey. It's actually about 5-6 hours away from where we are. And this community that Abril has been working with for the last 6 years was the one that received the educational intervention. And so our students were our subjects and teachers. So we would teach them the collaboration skills and the compassion skills that they would then go and teach the low-income community. And the reason why the students were taking part of this project is because they need to have 460 hours of community service in order to graduate from college. So out of all the projects that they could choose from, ours was one of them. So it was a very powerful intervention because the students were learning these concepts, but then in order to go teach them to this low-income community, they really had to internalize them. So it was very good for our students, but it was also great for the community. And at the community, we worked, it was a community of about 480 people, and not all of them participated, unfortunately, but we had about anywhere between like 80 to 100 when we had the most people. And first, we worked with the teachers, then we worked with the community, mothers mostly. Unfortunately, the fathers don't usually show up. They think this is an activity for moms. So, but we did work with the teachers. We worked with the moms, the children, and the teenagers. So we also, besides ProSocial, of course, ProSocial in Tech, we had Pansur del Norte. We also had Emory University because we wanted to teach the children social emotional skills and compassion, because I don't have experience with children. So we used the Emory C Learning program, and that was the basis of what was taught to the students, the little ones at the community. So what we did is basically it was a ProSocial methodology that we used to carry on the project. And on top of that, our college students also got training in ProSocial skills. So they got to experience both the theory of ProSocial, and then actually they got to interact as a ProSocial group, and they were able to apply a lot of the skills that we were teaching them along the way within their groups. So they were divided into 4 groups, and Rafael will tell you a little bit more about that. We went to the community about 5 weekends, and it would take place on Saturdays and Sundays. So we would stay in a hotel. Our students were very sweet because they signed up for our project, even though it was a demanding project, because they had to go for the whole weekend. We would leave at 7:30 in the morning on Saturday and come back at about 8:30, 9 p.m. On Sunday. So of course we had to stay in a hotel. It was really nice. So going to some of the questions that Suzanne wanted us to talk about it. So what good are we doing with this project? It was at many different levels. But first of all, we were given our highly talented college students tools for a constant process of personal evolution. So they got all these great tools that can shape the way they relate to themselves and the way they relate to others. Not only that, but we were educating the hearts and minds of a community that's been forgotten by many different groups. And it was so very nice to see how grateful they were to realize that we were going out of our way to be there for them. So it was just being there was good enough for them. But then the fact that we taught them all this really useful information that goes to the core of their being and their interpersonal relationships was very, very powerful. And then we ourselves, I think we evolved as well. Aureli and I had a chance to practice a lot of the ProSocial skills so that we could move this project forward, because it was a quite involved project. And the way PAL helped me, basically we were, like many other groups, facing challenges. So it was really great to know that I had a community to share these experiences with. And they gave me also very helpful advice to overcome the challenges that came up along the way. So what are we doing? We'd like to do a second round of this project. We are wishing to raise funds so that we can continue to work on this project. And then also Tecnológico de Monterrey has a partnership with about 100 schools that are low income. So my dream is to be able to make this project duplicable so we can do it at a more massive scale. And with that, I don't know, Abril, would you like to add something else? If not, I'll pass the word to Rafael.
Nothing. I think that was very clear. Thank you, Andrea. And I prefer the research listen to Rafael, our student. I think his experience is very important to show the impact in this project.
Thank you, Abril. Thank you so much. Rafael, we'll pass the word to you now.
Okay, so I'm going to be, thank you first. Thank you, Abril and Andrea, for inviting me to this opportunity to work with you. And I'm gonna begin presenting what is like a short version of what we presented to you, Susan, the other meeting. So here we have the Inspired Compassion and Action in action, in collaboration with, of course, Pal Sur del Norte, which is the NGO that Abril has been working on for about 6 years. And next, we started with a teacher's training, and I'm gonna ask Andrea to help me with this since I was not part of this training.
Sure. It was just a 2-day training where we taught the teachers basic SEL skills, and they didn't get to learn the CDPs, but they did learn a lot about self-regulation, and they also took the MEHR training, so they were practicing a lot of compassion skills in the classroom with the children.
Thank you. So you can see here Andrea and Abril being part of this training. Next, we had the retreat. In this retreat, we met the group. As you can see in the picture in the middle, we were a big group of a lot of university students in which we didn't know anyone. Well, from my point of view, I didn't know anyone from this retreat, and I started meeting them as my colleagues in this project. To the left, you can see a picture of us walking through the forest in which we learned a little bit about grounding and being present. And above it, we can see how we started to become friends along the way. And in this picture, you can see how we started to hang out a lot and have fun during the 6-hour trip to the community. Next.
I'm sorry, I just want to mention that our time is kind of like running really low, so we need to
3 minutes. 3 minutes for the rest of your slide.
Okay, 3 minutes. Okay. Next, we had, I'm gonna go faster. Next, we had the welcome party. This was August 35th, and we met the community. As you can see, we had a big party with everyone, and we met the mothers and everyone from the community. Next, we had the ProSocial Leadership Immersive Experience, in which Andrea helped us learn about ProSocial methodologies, and we did this 2 hours every week. Next, we had the LFAs. This is the first team working with youth and parents. And as you can see, they were giving out classes on CDPs and a lot of parenting skills to teach the mothers how to love their children without violence, which is one of the main points that we wanted to tackle. Next, we have the Compassion Day team, which is 2 people. They used to be 3, but we had a lot of trouble working together. We had to use a lot of CDPs to keep the team working and keep everyone focused on what we wanted to do. This team focused on organizing the Compassion Day. As you can see, the Compassion tree. And the Compassion Day was divided into two places, but we will see that later. Next, we have Creciendo Juntos, which is working with students. And this team, focused on working with the small children. You can see to the left an activity in which they folded up a little card, which is their treasure chest, and they saved some of the resources that they have to feel better, to feel safe. You can see a little bit more of that activity. And again, to the left, you can see a picture which is learning about kindness, I think, if I don't remember incorrectly, in which they drew what kindness is to them. Next, we have Mentes Creativas. This is another team focused on the research and multimedia for this project. They focused on taking pictures, on giving out making videos, and making the interviews with students and mothers and from the community. Next, we have the Compassion Day. This was divided into two places. We started by taking the pictures and making, we actually finished with taking group and individual photos and videos. Next, we have, that was happening in Monterrey, and this is also happening in Monterrey. We had a celebration party in the middle down, and to the right, you can see the group almost completely together. And you can also see the presentations they gave out about spirituality. Next, we have what happened at El Refugio, or the community. In this community, we did the mural and the compassion tree, which is, I think, the most important part of this project, which is the culmination and being aware of the change we brought to the community, or at least the gratitude they showed. Next, we have the members. Finally, we have the members. This is the coordinators. Beatriz was a big part of this, and without her, I wouldn't have known how to connect with the community. She's part of the community, and also she's studying here in Monterrey. She's studying the same career as I am studying, and she's a great person. I think I can say that safely. Next, we have the project directors, which is the PSN and project director Abril de Leon, and project director for ProSocial, Andrea Monsato, and the project leaders. I think, Susan, you know them. I don't know. I haven't met Hermila Loya. I think she's a connection they used to connect ProSocial with Tec de Monterrey, which is the university. And that's it. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Rafa.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. You did that very quickly, and I appreciate the speed because we're going to move on. And so if you have questions about what Rafael did, the students, jot them down, put them in the chat. We'll come back to them.
Okay.
We'll have time for question and answer at the end. So thank you. Wow. Maybe we just need to take maybe applause for what? Applause for all that you accomplished there in Monterrey in a short period of time. That was really beautiful.
Thank you so much.
And I think for me, when you shared this earlier, the transformation of the students, of all of you as students working with them, that was just as powerful as what the young people and the mothers experienced. I really appreciated that.
Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you. We're going to catch our breath and we are going to turn to Pakistan. Everybody, yeah, poof, we're over in Pakistan with three lovely women who are going to share about what they've been doing there with their students who are also mothers. I love the mother connection going through right now. And do you want me to show the video at the beginning or at the end? Which would you prefer?
Miss, at the end, it will be good.
At the end. Okay. So the time is yours. Thank you.
Okay, in the name of Allah, hello, good evening to you all. I hope you are doing well. I'm Yalda Yusufi, a team member of MEHR group, and tonight I would like to share about our mission. What is our mission in the world and what good we have done to the world? First of all, I would like to say that the vision of our group is to show the world that being a girl is not a crime and they are the true leaders. We stand for change and we believe that educated mothers are the true leaders for their families, for our society and a community. That's why we started from education. and we teach over 300 women, and they're all mothers. While our mother guard had children, so she not only shaped the future, but also had the potential to impact our 5 generations ahead. And as I think that an empowered mother can create and empower children who goes on to positively shape the future on our society and our community. Besides this, that we teach them the subjects, we teach them about peace, about love, unity, oneness, befriending. And now in these days, we can see the changes in them. And I, with my teammates, are really happy that we could bring these big changes in the big part of our society and the community. Though we live in a very strict environment, it is very, very tough to pass, and we don't have that much facility, but we try our best, and we will never spare any kind of effort to complete our business mission. When we discovered ProSocial, so it gave us the hope and the we can say the practical truth that how to face the challenges and how to solve them in a society that where the girls' voices suppressed here. And I'm really happy from our coaches and leaders, including Murtaza, Fawad, and Kaliman, that by then we established that how to empower ourselves as a community and as the individuals. So from those 8 inspiring sessions, we learned that how to make a united group with our teammates, and now we are more united. Now we are more active with high quality and these all things. And beside this, we could just communicate with a big part of our society, which are colleges. Though it was very tough and they were not ready to talk with us, but by the help of these 8 sessions, we could do this, and we could communicate with the colleges. And now they are friends of us in this way, and we are really happy that we could bring changes in 2 parts of our society, and they're very big parts. And I would like to really thank from our leaders and our guidance that they helped us in the strength that we have found in this as a community. And thank you and I would like to thank from my deep of heart from them and from you all, and especially Ms. Susan, that you support us like this. And the rest of our discussion will continue. My teammate Fatima.
Okay, thank you, dear Yaldo. Hello, everybody. I'm Fatima Fayaz. So if I talk about the influence of ProSocial Lab on MEHR group, now we have, it had really a great influence on our group because now we are doing our work more organized and also powerful than before. So when we had a session with ProSocial Lab, we created some good rules inside of our group that now we can work very organized and very actively and very powerful. So our goal now we are working on different projects, as dear Yalda said, that we are working with mothers. Our goal is to lead women leadership in the world, and also to make it for the world understandable that being a girl is not a crime. So for this way, we have chosen education, because by education we can achieve our goal that we want. So beside of this, that we are working to empower mothers, we are working on a new project that we want to open kindergarten for children, and also school for adults. So we are working on this project. I hope we can do it as we did our literacy classes very good. So we are working on kindergarten, how we can, for example, you know that in our country it's a little bit tough to when mothers are they are not they are uneducated. It's really tough that teachers trying at school to train their children in a good way, but when their children get back home, their mothers, by doing one bad action with them, just completely remove all the things that the teacher training them. So we worked, we empowered the mothers. Now the mothers helping us to do our work more better. So when uh, we open the kindergarten. In this case, by helping of their mothers, we can train, we can work on their talent, we can discover and helping them to discover their talents. We can work on their mind, on their vision, on their perspective, and also we can change their whole life, because children, especially between age 3 and 6, their parents do not value them because there is no school and no kindergarten in our small town for children. We just want to make to show the value of these children between age 3 and 6 to their parents, that you have to pay attention on these children, because they are in age that can learn everything very easily and can copy something very easily. So it is our responsibility to from the start of their their growing, we must work on their personality, on their mind, and we must pay attention much more on children in these age. So it is our new plan, our future plan. Nowadays we are working on it. I hope we can do it better. Thank you. So you can share our video as well. Thank you.
Oh, did Mahabuba, did you want to say anything? If not, then I will just go to the video.
Yeah, Mahbuba's mic is have some problems. So she can, yeah. If she can unmute herself, she will talk.
Okay, we'll start the video then. Is it showing?
Yes, it is.
Yes, but it's
Our
not filling
work
the screen.
and our goal is to form the seeds of kindness and love, because hate destroys, but love heals. As girls, we want the world should know that being a girl is not a crime. We want to lead women leadership in the world. We stand for changes. We believe 100% in this movement, and we consider education as the only way to achieve our goals. We have over 300 students. All these students are mothers. We believe that educated mothers can be the leaders of their families. When a mother leads her children, she leads the world and changes the 5 next generations. Conscious mothers can present conscious children in the world. We have divided our students into a group of 5 people, that they can talk about the value and the importance of literacy and awareness in their groups. Also, they can talk about different topics and help each other in their lessons, so that they understand the value of helping and cooperation, the value of group works, the value of friendship, and encourage their children in their lessons. We got to know ProSocial exactly when we started to believe that maybe our goal is not SMART, means specific, measurable, attainable, timely. Because we are standing for changes in a society where being girls is a crime and girls' voices are shame. Our work causes that we face many serious problems every day. but ProSocial has come and showed us the remedy to solve these problems and gave us the ability that how overcome our limiting beliefs and have a successful group works. MEHR Group stands to change the world and make being a woman an honor. These changes will be recorded in the history of our country. And our coaches Murtaza, Fawad, and Clement, and the great ProSocial group came and participated in these changes. With the guidance of our coaches, we managed to create an organized, active, great quality, and more united group than before. After guided by our coaches, we created roles for our group that is really influential. These 8 sessions are not only useful for the group, but each member of the group has empowered individually. The changes that has come in the work of our group after these 8 sessions, we understood each other more. We learned how to solve the problems of our group easily. Our group has become organized. The tasks of the group members became clearer. The group members have become more united and responsible. Our goals have become very clear. The quality of our work increased. The group members empowered individually and as a group to solve their problems. We become good listeners. We learned important topics and experiences from our coaches, and these 8 sessions were very inspiring.
Oh, Mahabuba. Yes, please.
Hello everybody. I hope you are doing well and be fine. I am Mahba Fayaz, the member of MEHR group. So whatever that we wanted to mention about the ProSocial, my friends mentioned very well, but I want to just share a little bit from my experiences that for the first time when I had a session or meeting with Miss Susan. In our society, mostly appreciated. So most of the time, the people in our society, they are against us, especially the men. So when I had, for the first time, I had a meeting with Miss Susan, and she said that we wanna support your group and we wanna teach you some technical methods that you can improve your group, and also it's about this. I became really happy, and I was trying and I was smiling with myself, and I was saying that at least there are some people in this world that they know the value of our work in our society and they want to support us. So I certainly asked her to give us the chance to prove ourselves for them, and also and I said that we promise that we won't waste your the chance that you will dedicate for us. So I especially thank from the ProSocial for the scholarship that they dedicated for us, and they gave us the chance to study and be with them for free. And to be honest, your work and provided us cause that we improve more and more, and even we did not thought about that like that. Do you know, on those days that we had our studies with our teachers or with our coaches, Mr. Murtaza and also Clement, those days were the most difficult days for our group, because we were facing really harsh situation in our society, that we lost our other support that they were supporting us, and also most of the people, especially men, they were against our, when they were sending some treatment voice messages to us, and we were sharing those messages with our teachers, and that was really beautiful those days. And ProSocial changed it, the most difficult days of our group to
And
start our new project.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing all of that, Mahabuba. We're just so happy that we were able to have you be part of the ProSocial Action Lab. Your team is amazing. Thank you. Yelda, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, actually, I want to share our recent experience with you all. It just remained, and I didn't connected with the video that you shared. Can I share it now?
Yes, you have like just a minute. So.
Okay, fine.
Okay. This is beautiful, and we don't have any sound.
Miss, you didn't hear the sound?
We didn't hear the sound.
Okay, so I think it was a bit of problem, but I think you saw the video.
We did see the video. Yes.
Okay, then it was our recent experience that we had some days ago.
And could you stop sharing screen so we could thank you?
Yes. No.
Oh, such powerful images. What words were you burning there in the fire?
Miss, on that was written violence about that the woman who was not allowed to study when there was a fight, and we burned them, and we just put them under the soil, and like this we just finished all of this, and we continue our mission with those women.
That's wonderful. My goodness. What great work you are all doing. What a fabulous team you are. And thank you for all of the lives you are touching through the mothers and the kids. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, we will have time at the end for questions. I'm sure there are many. So thank you for hanging on. All right, we're going to zip around to Cameroon, Adrian and Fleur. So I'm going to pull up the slide presentation, talk for a few minutes, and let me know when you want me to start it, okay?
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Adrian. I was a co-coach in this year's ProSocial Action Lab together with my fellow co-coach, Madame Fleur. Please, could you just say hi?
Hi.
Okay, so thank you very much. I would just like, first of all, to appreciate Madame Fleur. She has been a real big support in everything that we've been doing or what we are still trying to do. She's been very inspirational. And please, Madam Susan, could you start sharing the slides? Okay, thank you very much. So in this year's ProSocial Action Lab, our group was working with some communities in Cameroon, Africa, which are the local indigenous communities in the southeast of Cameroon, which are usually or normally known as the Baka Pygmies of the southeast of Cameroon. So, Madam Susan, thank you for this name. If not because the communities, they have already chosen a name for their association, we would have just taken this name that you wrote. It's really good. Thank you very much. So please, could you go to the next slide? Okay, so we've been working with these communities, precisely 10 communities in the southeast of Cameroon, basically in the areas of indigenous wildlife monitoring, community forestry, and landscape restoration. So we were just training these communities to monitor their own wildlife and also their cultural activities. So we provide them with equipments and technical support to conduct all these activities. And this was basically to inform conservation decisions. So over the years, that's what we've been doing. In 2022, I had the opportunity to participate in a participatory video training, which was a collaboration between ProSocial and Insight Share. So since then, we have been trying to use participatory videos in all our activities, principally in amplifying the voice of these marginalized communities. Please, could you go to the next? Next, okay, thank you. So we were very lucky to participate in this year's ProSocial Action Lab. Before participating, we all know how marginalized this people are, how with respect to socializing with the other part of the world. So we were looking at ways, our initial objectives were to look at ways to better our working relationships with these communities. However, we got more than we expected because this is our first time of participating in the ProSocial Action Lab. So we didn't really know what to expect because most of the communities are remote with limited access to internet. So we as the coaches, we had to participate and then take it down to them. It was really difficult for them to participate directly in the action lab. So after taking all the information from each session, we took it back to these communities. And it was very interesting because we had very ways in which we could pass on this information before they accepted all kinds of projects that come into their communities. I had this particular conversation with some of the leaders in the community, and I quote, they said they don't really have a choice with the kind of projects that maybe NGOs, maybe civil society organizations or individuals bring to their communities because they don't have a choice. Whatever they give them, they are going to take. So I asked them this particular question: why don't you try to do your own projects, start your own initiatives, and lead your own projects in your communities? And they asked me, is that possible? I said, of course, it's very much possible. So with the help of the ProSocial Action Lab this year, we had a lot of sessions with these communities where it led to them discovering a shared purpose. Now, we just had about, let me say, an average of 5 community liaisons participating in our different discussions. But this changed the mentality of these people because now I call them like ambassadors of their communities, no more community liaisons, because of what we shared, they took it now to their communities. And now at the beginning, we just had about 10 communities which participated in the Action Lab. Now we have over 20 communities that are willing to get in this particular initiatives of working together for their common good. Not only that, this particular program boosted their confidence. Now, in Cameroon, Africa, these communities are, or these people are known as the vulnerable people because of their status, their marginalization and everything. But this boosted their confidence. They are able to speak what they want, what they need, and what they want to do with their communities or whatever plans or their projects. So it also promoted a sense of togetherness between them. They are willing to work together. And also they decided to be change makers. That's why I talked about ambassadors. Now they are willing to stand in front, come up with ideas for their communities to work together for their common good. Please, could you go to the next? So still within this ProSocial Action Lab, these communities, they said they are living in these communities with very limited access to basic services like healthcare and other services. They have issues with the land rights because people take advantage. These mining companies, exploitation companies, they take advantage of them as being vulnerable. They take over the lands and send them out of the forest. Meanwhile, they are the custodians, the owners, the original owners of the forest. And they are also being marginalized from decision-making processes, which is just a whole circle of this marginalization. So after a discussion with them, they saw an opportunity to lead their own initiatives. Now they came to understand that actually sustainable change begins at a grassroots level. Now they have to play a lead role in all of their activities in the communities. Please go to the next. So these communities, they decided to come up with the idea of the creation of an association where they will work together. They decide the kind of projects that they are interested in. They conceive their projects and they actually implement their projects in their communities. So it was very interesting when I discussed with my co-coach, Madame Fleur. She was really like overwhelmed with the idea. I've also had the opportunity to discuss with Dr. Robert and also Madame Susan about this particular idea of the communities wanting to create like an entity that they can use to like foster their development and also sustainability. Now, this whole idea is all about going back to the roots of conservation. Before we start talking about conservation, these communities were living in the forest. They took only what they needed and left the rest in the forest. They never destroyed the forest. They were the guardians, the custodians of the forest. But now they are sending them out of the forest. How do they expect them without no alternative for their livelihood? How do they expect them to live? How do they expect them to have their, or like feed their children and also take care of their basic needs? So they came up with this idea to create an association where they will come up with the project ideas, and together with us and my colleagues and obviously Madame Fleur will have to conceive these ideas in meaningful ways where they can run their own projects. So they will no more accept any kind of projects. For example, you see like an exploitation company can come to their community. So, okay, give me this number of timber and I will give you like a well, like a water well. Now, they usually say, you say you want to give us water. Did we tell you that we don't have water? In our forests, we have streams all over. So now they say they want to be at the forefront. They choose what they want. And this basically is just a summary of what they have decided to do. Now, first of all, advocacy. That's the area of intervention, advocacy through participatory videos. We will train them. They make their own videos. They tell their stories. And this will be used to sensitize the public of their rights and how we have to continue respecting the rights of indigenous people in the southeast of Cameroon. And why not in all other parts of the country? And also with these videos, they will use to safeguard their cultures, which is already at a very depreciating rate because of modernization. Then secondly, they are looking at conservation and restoration. Now, they have very indigenous plants, like for example, Mwabi, which is very important for their culture. They use it for food, they use it as a source of income because it's very expensive outside. People come to these communities to look for that particular fruit. So they want to like cultivate all that. They make nurseries and plant it in their forest. And also sustainable agriculture and rural development. So these are just some few areas in which they have identified in like to work towards this particular idea. So at the moment, we have put the documents together for the creation of an association. It's already at the level of the government of the country. And before the end of this year, these communities will have an association where they can conceive their own ideas, make their own projects, and also source for funding in order to better the lives of these communities. So please, could you go to the next? So the principal mission of this association is to foster a sustainable and equitable future by empowering communities, protecting ecosystems, and advocating for indigenous rights. So the nearest future, we are looking at empowering these communities using participatory videos to amplify their voices and catalyze positive change. So this is just like a brief description of what we are trying to do. So I would just like to give the floor maybe to Madame Fleur to say one or two things, then we can conclude.
Hi, thank you, Adrian, for this presentation. I have very few words to say because we were not able to organize sessions with the people from the forest. I'm grateful to know Adrian. I imagine he's very determined and very courageous. And I can say just that I'm grateful also for ProSocial. That's the first time I see David Sloan Wilson, and I'm also very grateful for his work because ProSocial is very huge. I don't know how to say in English, a huge thing in my life. And I'm committed to continue the work with Adrienne and see what we can do to support the work of this new association and continue the work and see how ProSocial can help these people to empower themselves to reach the goals they have. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you for the work you are doing in Cameroon, Adrienne, with those beautiful ambassadors of the forest and of the indigenous peoples who live there. My goodness, that's such important work. And thank you, Fleur, for all of the support that you have given Adrian as he's been working with these communities. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Okay, whew, we're gonna zip back to the United States. So I hope there's no motion sickness here. And we're gonna pass it over to Patricia Schaefer, who has been very involved in peace for I don't know how long, and with Rotary for equally long. So please.
Well, hello, everyone. And I just want to say, these presentations are so inspiring, and with your beautiful visuals and the videos and the photos, I just see how it's an illustration of social and action going together. And I feel a little bit humbled by all that's been accomplished by the teams in 8 weeks. My project description is a little bit different because while your efforts were really out in the community and organizing community, our effort was about trying to get people in a very, very, very large system to be more in community. And so you can see that Susan called our project Rotary Peace Educators. So just to share a little bit, Rotary is, for those of you who don't know, it's an organization that has existed for 100 years. One of its areas of focus is peace or peace and conflict resolution. And today in this big Rotary system, there are 1.4 million members. It's a huge, huge, huge system in many, many, many countries. And one of its areas is, as I said, peace and conflict resolution. Our project was really about trying to get many people with skills and backgrounds in peace education to work more collaboratively inside this big Rotary system. So for instance, I had an organization that does peace education, training, and mentoring, and we've certified 15,000 young people between the ages of 14 and 24 in how to be peace builders. But in this big Rotary system, because it's very much based on people working individually in all their communities, I often see, and the team that work together often sees that we work in too isolated a fashion. And if we could be more social, we could be in more impactful action. So there were about 8 of us, and we were so lucky. We were so fortunate. Susan was our coach. And our objective, our goal was to see if at the end of our time together, we could really have a collective peace education program for young people versus each of us is working individually and doing our own things. And I think what's so interesting about that experience for me is it was an exercise in seeing if many people who can manage projects or tasks on their own could really set aside what we know how to do individually and think collectively as a team and see if we could do more. So over the course of the journey, we really just in a very relationship-oriented way, explored what would we want to do at the end of the 8 weeks. And so I think we came into the process late thinking, will a really good idea emerge and a commitment emerge out of our time together? And what happened was we really decided that inside this big Rotary system, where there are several thousand young people who go through something called the Rotary Youth Exchange every year from different countries. Could we help this system bring peace education into these exchange programs? And it was a really interesting learning journey for us because there are many cultural exchange programs around the world, some through Rotary, some through other systems. In Europe, there are huge international youth exchange programs that are run. But what we were able to confirm for ourselves is they almost never actually have peace education built into the exchange program. So people are coming back and forth and they're speaking to each other across international lines, but without peace education built in. So I'm, and honestly, I think one of my heartfelt worries in the journey was, would we be committed enough to each other that by the end of the 8 weeks, we would still be a team and we would actually go on and do this project. So I'm very happy to say that with Susan's guidance and presence and always being just a beautiful spirit to create the space for us to work collectively together, we did end the project and we're able to announce that we are doing a peace education curriculum or component that will get embedded into this Rotary Youth Exchange program. We won't begin in a huge way. You have to follow a timing with Rotary, but we will begin by introducing that in an area in the United States called Central States, which is many districts, many states, and we will be able to pilot it in 2025. We'll start moving on that in the spring and the summer so that young people going on an exchange at the end of next year will have had the chance to learn about and be prepared in terms of peace education before they go, and then actually have a peace education experience when they return. And the whole idea is that instead of just seeing yourself as an ambassador or having a personal fun experience as an exchange student, you're going with the mindset of a peace builder. You're going with the different heart and way of thinking about going on an exchange program. funny thing, we presented last week to a group of people who are interested in what kind of leadership development programs are going on in Rotary. And we imagined that this youth exchange peace building program would be 3 years out. Because of the support of the ProSocial Lab, we moved it up to be the first example of working together collectively to introduce a different kind of leadership program. And you can imagine in a big system like that, everything moves very slowly. So, you know, in 8 or 10 sessions, to be able to move that forward that quickly is very unusual. It's unheard of. So what did we learn from the experience? So much. And in some ways, as I saw your presentations, I thought, oh, that's what we learned. Oh, that's what we learned. Oh, that's what we learned. You said many of the things that we really learned. But rather than repeat them, I will say that we learned, and all of the participants were from the United States, we learned that really, if we can change our hearts and minds to lead a project with relationship first, then the task will fall out of it, which is very different than the way we normally operate in the States. In the States, we think we have this task to do, and somehow we'll get to the relationship. So we really learned, no, relationship first, and then the task will come out of it naturally. We learned that. I think we learned that when somebody creates an environment where it's easy to be together, the work just flows more easily. And so again, Susan created that energy, that space for us that made it easy to work together. I think we also learned that if you just somehow bring 8 or 10 people together, and that's all you bring, no specific plan, no specific strategy for what's going to come out on the other end. In a small number of sessions, you just see the wisdom that is in the room, and the project, the results fall out more naturally, I think was a big learning for us. And I'm looking at my notes here. I think we learned the opposite of what I have always been trained to do. And you, honestly, your projects illustrated this so much better than I think I could or we could. It really is possible when you start with a small group, a small cell in a community, and when you do something really well, that you can then scale it from there, which is the opposite of being taught, no, you start from the top and then work down. So honestly, your projects illustrated something I think we learned in our process. I think that's it, except to say, there we go, the framework from ProSocial Lab and the supporting tools under it. I don't think we were as diligent as you were in their use, but we were certainly aware of them and keeping them in mind all the time. And so how important it is to have a framework to really get something done in a short amount of time. And so therefore, I think we're very, very grateful to the ProSocial Lab folks for creating this opportunity for us.
Thank you, Patricia. Applause, applause, applause for what you've been able to do in a short time with people in a very large system. And so, yeah, it goes to your heart and dedication as well, that all that got done. Thank you. So we have one more presentation, David. So
That's fine.
Okay. And I want to hand the time over to Jeff to talk about the hollow movement, and then we'll do questions.
Well, I'll be brief, but before I do that, let me just express just deep and profound gratitude for all those that have just shared and sharing your personal experiences, your lessons learned, your collective insight and wisdom. I've learned a ton. So my name is Jeff Janung, and I serve as the managing director for ProSocial World, but I'm also a core team member for the Action Lab participant called the Holo Movement, which is a partner of ProSocial World. And it's also a young organization. So I'll share a little bit about that in a moment, but I also want to acknowledge and appreciate the efforts that you have gone through individually in your groups in your different places from a technology standpoint, from a financial resource standpoint, from a support, a social standpoint, the translators, so that the content can be translated, and so that we can also benefit by it by hearing what you're doing in English too. Thank you at all levels for all of that. It's enriching to us. It's also very much in alignment with our mission and vision, because it's our aim to create bridges where there is diversity at all levels, gender diversity, age diversity, diversity of culture, ethnic diversity. It's very, very important for ProSocial World. And so we're seeing some of it here, and want to acknowledge some of the difficulties that you have to go through in order to make this possible. So it's also humbling for me as well to see the level of intention and diligence to take these ideas and to put them on, and then also to create slides and videos to share it with us. So I want to start by saying thank you profoundly. What I'm going to share a little bit about is a network. It's not actually an organization. It's a network called the Holo Movement. And the Holo Movement is based on the work of the renowned physicist, often considered the father of quantum physics, David Bohm. And David's vision of the universe, the holographic universe. And it was David Bohm that actually coined the word, the Holo Movement, based on his calculations that the universe is interconnected at all levels. So the Holo Movement itself has a mission of being a social movement that will awaken our deep interconnectedness, thus David Bohm, in igniting a critical mass of collaborative action that serves for the good of the whole, that is guided by both science and spirituality to help facilitate a shift in human consciousness. So as you might imagine, that's pretty consistent with ProSocial World. And it's a network organization that has only been in existence a couple of years. And so it's new, and it's not an organization. And so it doesn't have a headquarters. It doesn't have an organizational structure. It basically is a community of groups and other communities. And so the story for us is that the core team of the Holo Movement, kind of some of the organizers of the Holo Movement that provide the coordination to engage various groups and communities to participate in this Holo Movement network. Like your group, your organization, your teams could join the Holo Movement. There's no cost to it. And it's a place where groups can work together that embodies both inner work and outer action, whatever it may be. So it's very much like the ProSocial Action Lab. And the groups that come together are called Holons. And they are a team or a group or an organization that is focused on a particular activity. And there's some information in the site that I provided the link on that can help you through that. But what our sense was that the Holo Movement isn't really a how-to. It mainly is just an open and collaborative environment where groups and communities can work together and begin to both embody and document this profound interconnectedness that we share. And so the sense was by the Holo Movement core team is this is an opportunity for them to learn the ProSocial framework. I also went through it myself as a core team member, so I was a participant of the group. And, you know, we collectively began to learn some fundamental principles as a team, as a group, like psychological flexibility, having the ability to kind of adapt. It's easy to want to cooperate, but you need to have the skills to cooperate. And we felt like that's what the ProSocial Action Lab did. We were probably you know, between 6 and 8 people that were regularly participating in the groups. And when we looked at the 4, you know, kind of core questions, the thing of defining our success, strengths, growth edges, identity challenges, we kind of came up with the following. The success would be for our core team, the group that went through this, to actually embody this framework as a core team. You know, so it's one thing to learn about these things, but it's another thing to put them on. And we also discovered it's hard to put them on. That even, you know, 8 sessions, we still feel like we need more because there's more to actually practice it, to actually put it on. So we've got the tools now. We need to learn how to use them better. And so that's how we'll define success. Are we using them? And what are the impact of using them? You know, some of the strengths is that the group is already highly pro-social to begin with. Members that are guiding it and also participants, they're very high pro-social to begin with. So there's a lot of change makers in their own rights and respects there. But here's some of the edges that we're up against. One is that there's needs within the holo movement to be diversity as well. And to go to those places where diverse, you have to build bridges to them, financial bridges, cultural bridges, language bridges, things like that. And so there's work to be done there. And then the other big thing is that the holo movement isn't an entity. It can't really receive funding in and of itself. It's an idea in a way to engage. And so that has its own problems in terms of structure, finance, governance, that sort of thing. But I'll say that the group very much valued the tools because there's a pro-social mission to the organization, but it doesn't really teach groups in what they call holons how to do that. So one of the things that is the aim to come out of this is the holo movement and ProSocial World begin to work together to provide this cooperative framework as a basis to those that join the holo movement, those that become holons, so that they can learn these skills and be able to use them in terms of whatever they want to accomplish in the world through the holo movement. And so I think I'll end there and say that where we left it is that we have an aim to do something together, ProSocial World and the holo movement, and work in the coming year to provide some of the training that ProSocial World already has available to those that are joining the holo movement in all of its diversity, because there's lots of groups and organizations that are part of it in their own unique way. So if ProSocial can provide some framework for that, then that becomes part of the basis of engagement of the holo movement in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for that overview of the holo movement and the work that you're doing at such that higher consciousness level. That's not you can't get great video about that. So all you can do is mostly share. So thank you.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. We now have about 15 minutes for questions. And I know, David, you were first to have your hand raised. Did you have a question?
I do. I have two comments or questions. Number one is, one of the things that makes this so powerful is not only each individual project, but all of the projects together around the world in so many different contexts. And one question I have is, how much were you actually interacting with each other, the different teams interacting with each other during the ProSocial Action Lab? Now we're getting the reports and I'm seeing them collectively. But were you also interacting with each other between teams in addition to within teams throughout the process? And was that useful? So there's one of my questions, which Susan, you might be the first to answer, but anyone else, I'd be interested. And then I have a follow-up question.
Thank you. Because of the time zones and the internet connections, this was one of the most challenging gatherings to do more interactions. We had an opening plenary at 2 different times, and we had a closing plenary at 2 different times where they did interact with each other. We tried to organize what we called playgrounds where the participants could come and just hang out with each other. And it didn't work well this time around. So we're gonna revisit that for the next time. Thank you.
I'd like to hear from some others as to whether, if that's their experience or whether they actually did form connections between teams and so on, despite the fact that it could have worked better.
Do you have an answer to that, Andrea?
Yes, I do. I want to say that we were meeting on Mondays, Suzanne, remember? You and Robert and some of the other team members. And that was very helpful. Like I mentioned before, I was experiencing some challenges. And then that gave me first a sense of community because I didn't feel isolated. And second, the team would give very direct, advice on how to overcome the challenges. And that made it a lot easier for me to, just work with the team. So yeah, I do think that happened.
And that was the coaches. She was the coach, and the coaches had a weekly meeting where
So we got some of this through the coaches. That's very important.
Coaches then could take lessons back out. Yes.
Yeah, and so I mean, one of the striking things in the Mexican case and in the Cameroon case is, I guess, maybe in all the cases, that there's people who are unable to actually participate in the process directly, but they're still reached by the other people who are. So we have, the students work with the community, or we have the forest people can't participate directly, but they're still engaged. And so it becomes multi-level in that sense. And so that was, really striking and wonderful, really, that there's finding ways to implement this beyond the specific training. But let me make one last point because I know others want to speak also. I'm kind of struck by that in some cases, the groups were faced with very existential challenges, like in our Pakistan group and also in the Cameroon group. These were really matters of consequences of the need for these groups. And in other cases, it's a little bit more discretionary. In the case of the Rotary Club and in the Holons, we're basically dealing with an affluent society and individuals who are very pro-social, but it's actually not life or death, less of an existential problem that they're in. And the fact that it's working well in both cases, that's one point to make. But the fact that it's working well in the more existential cases, the people that it's super important that they work in groups, and that the principles are working well, is very gratifying. And so I think that this is really, in some ways, a proof that the basic principles that we're teaching are culturally universal across all cultures, every place in the world, and all specific topics, education, or, also this is, I think, a wonderful proof in some ways of the universality of what we're learning and teaching and implementing. So it's really, this is one of the best experiences I've ever had to be listening to this and to see it working as well as it has. So I want to thank all of you for what you've accomplished, and I hope you appreciate how important it is.
Thank you, David. That was so beautifully stated. Patricia, your hand is up.